Hello and welcome to your messages for the week. Today is Sunday, the 14th of August, 2022. And I'm super excited because it's this evening that Liz Nagle and I are doing our live free event on Zoom, Ask Us a Question. So I'm going to be card reading again tonight, and Liz will be adding her wisdom and insights. So there's a link in the description to that if you want to find the Zoom link and any more details. Also, I'm really excited because I'm taking bookings now for my next Heal Yourself online course. It's a 6-week course, one session a week. Each session's like between 2 hours and 2.5, and we cover all sorts of healing modalities and all sorts of other things as well. So if you're interested in studying that with me, or reading any more details and the testimonials, of course, I'll put a link in the description to that as well, because bookings are coming in at the moment. So wow, how has Lionsgate been for you? Okay, as we're kind of slowly coming out of the energies. So many people upgrading, and as always, I have found with my clients a lot of Syrians waking up to more of who they are. We're all waking up to more of who we are as we go along on this journey, of course, but I just tend to find that during Lionsgate portal and just afterwards, I tend to get a flurry, shall we say, of Syrian star seeds, and I always think it's lovely and beautiful, especially as the Syrian consciousness is 12th dimensional, so it's kind of not so easy to tap into. So it's fantastic when the star seeds kind of start waking up to how they can tap into higher levels of consciousness. To me, that's what it's all about. It's not about separating ourselves, you know, I'm Arcturian, you're Palladian, you're Syrian. It's not like that, not on the other side. The other side of it's just love, and it's just working for humanity, and helping us. It's all us. It's so important to understand that we are all one. We're all from source. We have descended here from source, but we have descended through various different realms. It could be archangel realms, fairy realms, galactic realms. There's all sorts of different realms that we can descend through. And it's just a case of resonance. It's like everything else. It's like me traveling around the world and ending up in Spain. You know, it's like, you know, resonating with the Spanish culture on some level, you know, still resonating with my original culture on some level. It's the same thing, you know. Yet none of us are originally from here because we're all from source, right? It's the same thing, you know, when we talk about the galactic realms as well. We are all one. There's that sense of unity. But the reason I think it serves people is because it helps you tap into higher levels of consciousness. It just gives you that connection. I mean, as the human that we're experiencing at the moment, we want to be looked after. We want to feel hugged and loved and all these things. And we want to personify the energy to give us something to aspire to, I guess. And I think when we're feeling that connection to a galactic family, who, you know, whichever one it is, it really helps us expand into more of who we are, because it's all about you expanding into more about who you are. And it's all about you accessing more of your own higher guidance from your own higher self. You're not giving your power away to anybody else. But it's just a way that our humans can access that higher level of consciousness. I think that's how I view it. And I think that's why I love sharing the starseed information, because I know how much it helped me on my path. When I tapped into the Arcturian consciousness, it really, and they want to come out as soon as I said that. See, I don't talk about channeling Arcturians, but I'm very aware that the Arcturian consciousness, because everything is just consciousness, everything is just a frequency. And the Arcturian consciousness definitely helps me. I know that. So let's see, I've got 3 out at the moment, and they're all face down. And I've got a clear message that 3 is the magic number again this week. No surprises there. Right, let's dive in and have a look. Here we go. Now we've got the 9 of Wands again. We had this last week, so there's kind of like a continuing theme, which makes sense because we're in August, and that's kind of, you know, themes don't just come for a week, do they? It could be an astrological theme, it could be a theme going on in your life in particular in some area, but the 9 of Wands is about being exhausted. Now, this doesn't have to be tired as in needing sleep. It could be tired as in needing sleep. It could be for different reasons. I mean, here in Spain, we've got some very high temperatures. And I think in the UK, they have as well really high temperatures. And that can make us really tired and lethargic and exhausted. But also, there is an energy of the wounded healer. The wounded healer. And we had this last week. So I will repeat it because it's clearly relevant because it's come up first this week. So it's about self-rest, self-care, self-love, obviously, resting when you can, not forcing yourself, not pushing yourself to do stuff, realizing that if you are feeling exhausted and tired, it's because you need to take time out. And don't question it. You know, oh, it's Monday morning, I have to go to work. Well, no, you're self-employed. No, you don't. And if you're taking time off, have a holiday or what have you, there's ways around it. And it could be opting out of social events. It could be opting out of maybe you normally do some sporting event, you know, or something like that. And maybe it's just time to, this week, I'm just going to give it a miss because you just need to rest and relax. But the other thing I want to say with this card is a change is as good as a rest. So sometimes it's not the actual sleep we need, and sometimes it's not the actual rest. Sometimes it's just we need a change of what we're doing. Sometimes we just need a change of scenery. You know, sometimes we just need a break from what's going on. I mean, that is why, you know, we do need holidays. Ideally, we want to work in our passion hobby, don't we? In our abundance activity. If you work doing what you love, you don't need a holiday. But even then, to be honest, it's just nice just to switch off and do nothing. So that's what I think this card is saying. Give yourself some time, either on your own or with your loved ones, whoever you're like wanting to spend time with. Okay. And don't feel guilty if you want to spend time on your own and not spend time with the people you're meant to be spending time with. That's also relevant. It is, as I said, the wounded healer. And that's about understanding that what because most of you are probably healers. I said this last week, on some level, if you're watching this video, you'll be helping people on some level. And when we reach out to help people, whether it's formally or informally or professionally or just in a friendly manner, what we're doing to help others is helping us. Because there is only us, right, creating our reality. So when somebody outside of us needs help in some way, it could be a client, it could be a family member or a neighbor that needs help from us and we're going to help them. That is a reflection of us. So this is why helping others is so powerful. It's a really powerful healing tool. Have we ever thought about it that way? Helping others, actually, of course, it helps ourselves. And it will be on an issue that is relevant to you on some level. So you'll find yourself, let's say you find yourself talking to, as I said, to a client, to a family member, to maybe just a neighbor over the fence. You know, it could be to a child. You could be kind of just nurturing a child. Listen to the words that come out your mouth when you're saying, you know, you're counseling them, you're coaching them, or you're just sharing your love and advice with them, however it may be. Listen to what comes out your mouth, because on some level, that is you talking to you. On some level, that is you talking to you. So what can you take away from that? What can you take away from that? I think children's really a classic example, because we often, you know, teach children the right way when we're nurturing them as a parent or whatever. And we have forgotten the right way. You say, you know, do as I do, do as I say and not as I do. You know, it's like, well, no, listen to what you're saying. Sometimes that's, yeah, practice what you preach. It's that one again, isn't it? Practice what you preach. That one comes up for me all the time. So yes, wounded healer. There is something here to be said. And I also think, I've always said that one of the best ways out of depression or out of feeling low is random acts of kindness. Just literally going out of your way to be kind to somebody else in some way or another, whether it be giving a donation or helping carry something, it doesn't matter what, but just random acts of kindness really boost us. Of course they do, because it's a way of self-love, because it's another part of you, right? But this is really more about coaching ourselves through coaching others. In fact, what I do is a perfect example, because I often listen back. Well, I have to listen back. I never remember what I've said on these videos. So I have to listen back. And often I'm like, oh, did you say that? Oh, well, I didn't know that, you know, and things like that. So it's interesting. And especially if you're a teacher, because I heard this once, and I think it's really interesting. When I was studying, in my teaching field, I remember learning. Don't quote me on the actual figures. The last one I know is right, but the others I'm not sure about. But I remember learning that we remember like 40% of what we hear, 60% of what we read, 80% of what we actually do. And then I heard it was like 95% of what we teach. And at the time, I remember thinking, what do you mean we know 95% of what we teach? Of course, we have to know 100% of what we teach, otherwise we can't teach it. And now I realize exactly what it means, because even if you're teaching, like, from books as opposed to like channeling or what have you, you still sometimes have to swat up a little bit before you teach something, and very often you're just learning it for the purpose of teaching it, and then maybe you've forgotten it if it's not staying in your mind for whatever reason. But then when you're coming into working from your heart and opening your heart, yeah, that's what 95 we learn 95% of what we teach. And it comes back to what I've said before. I think I said this last week as well, just repeating what you say, to integrate these spiritual concepts, to hear them on some level, but to actually bring them into the cells of your body, to actually embody the energy of these spiritual concepts coming in. We do need to talk about them, and repeating them to somebody else helps consolidate it all in your own mind, which helps you consolidate it and integrate it into your body, and it helps us apply it. Because how many times do we hear spiritual concepts about acceptance and forgiveness and judgment and all these things, and the importance of willingness, all these, what I would call the lessons in awakening. If you haven't seen that on my YouTube channel, have a look, my lessons in awakening. But how many times have we kind of heard these things, but don't actually live them? So this is a case of applying, because the other message with this card is about digging deep into your spiritual reserves. So what I want to say with that is, you know the answers. This is the time for us to really live those spiritual concepts. Acceptance of what is, loving what is, forgiveness of everyone, everything, including you. Although I did have a video recently about there is no need for forgiveness, because when you think about forgiveness, there's judgment involved there. If there wasn't judgment, you wouldn't feel the need to forgive anyone, would you? So if you can release the judgment, then you realize that actually forgiveness is kind of obsolete or redundant or what have you. But anyway, it is a path to it, which is why my video on it is called The Path to Forgiveness. But all those spiritual concepts that we really need to live by, it's kind of, we've been working on certain issues in our past, like people that have hurt us, and we've learned to forgive them. We're talking a bigger scale now. We're talking the whole of humanity. We're talking about understanding the forgiveness of the whole shebang. Can you do that? And accepting what is, loving what is. So trying to see the blessings in everything, looking on the bright side, finding the blessing behind it, a blessing in disguise. We get quite good at that, don't we? But can we actually look at all of the shit in the world today as a blessing? I mean, I heard something recently from another channel. She was channeling the Palladians, and somebody asked her, what was it that made the Palladians expand into higher levels of consciousness? And she turned around and she said, a plague. And I was like, oh my God. So, plague, war, famine, all these things are what accelerates the rising consciousness of a community, and in this case of humanity, of a race, of whatever you want to call us. So there's your blessing. There's your blessing in everything that's going on. It's waking people up. And I know, for one, I wouldn't be living this joyful life if the last 2 years hadn't happened. So it's a case of being able to look at absolutely everything. So what this card is telling me is we need to really dig deep into our spiritual reserves. We really need to heed what we hear ourselves saying to others, especially if you're in the coaching business, especially if you're in the healing business, which I know a lot of you are. And it is about listening to what our bodies need, being kind to others, helping others, because that's a part of helping us as well. Well, let's have a look at the second card. Lots of choices. This is choose wisely. Choose wisely. Seven of Cups. Cups is water, it's emotions, it's creativity, spirituality, and intuition. Okay, so choosing wisely. Yes, this is about, again, I want to say, integrating and embodying more of our moral compass. I want to say we have this moral compass, don't we? But we really need to take it to the next level and choose wisely where we spend our time, where we spend our energy, where we spend our resources, where we spend our money, and most importantly, where we focus our consciousness. Choose wisely is the message with this card. If something doesn't serve you, stop looking at it. I've said it, it's come up so many times. Just move yourself away from people that bring you down. Move yourself away from social media groups that bring you down. You can feel your energy just dropping. You know, why do it? Because your future is dependent on the frequency that you're feeling. So when you feel your frequency dropping, why would you do that to yourself? That means that you're literally dropping the frequency of the future that you're creating. So why would you do that? We want to create a high vibe future, right? So you've really got to feel within you when your heart sinks and feel that drop in frequency. Because that's telling you, that's guiding you, that's telling you, don't even think that down that direction. Don't mix with those people, don't think those thoughts, don't share that information on social media if it's making you feel like that. And then really focus on what lifts you. Probably things off social media. But really listen to your heart when it does that kind of, oh, that's exciting. Choose wisely, because not only is the frequency that you're feeling in any now moment creating your future, but the frequency that you're feeling in any now moment is your contribution to the collective. Think about that. If you're reading something that's making you feel disgusted, you are contributing disgust to the collective. If you're reading something or mixing with people that are making you angry, irritable, frustrated, resentful, any of these things, okay, then that is the frequency that you are contributing to the collective. Do you want to be responsible for contributing those energies, those consciousnesses to the collective? If you can choose wisely, choose the channels that are going to fill you with creativity, inspiration, and love. Cups is the love sign. And then feel yourself full of love. Anything. I mean, I've got a new little kitten, so it's not difficult to just, I spend ages just watching it. It's my entertainment. But it's my entertainment with an open heart, you know, and then my contribution to the collective for those moments is this beautiful feeling of love and compassion for this little kitten. But whatever you're doing, you know, focus on the feeling that you have, because it's creating your future and it's your contribution to the collective. I think that's a really important point. So time just to focus on the positive and really be aware, because that's what he's doing as well. He's being aware of where his energy is going. Okay, last card. Wheel of Fortune. I love this one. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Wheel of Fortune reminds me of your birth chart. It's kind of the card that reminds me of astrology. You know, I'm always reminding people that, you know, the birth chart is something really fascinating. It's a really good way to self-study. I think that our evolution path, or spiritual path, whatever you want to call it, it's one of self-study. It's one of self-realization. It's all about, who are you? What did you come here to do? You know, and the birth chart is a fantastic source of that information, as is the soul profiles that I do as well. I don't do the birth chart readings, but the soul profile, also finding out more about who you are, what you came here to experience, what you came here to express, because that's what it's all about. It is all about understanding, and also understanding the astrology, I think, is important. Not that I'm an astrologer, but I do follow it, and I think it's very important because we get a lot of clues. I think there are certain things that I call gifts from God that help us understand our journey. I think yoga is one of them. I think yoga is a gift of from consciousness itself, to help us on our path to enlightenment. And I think astrology is like that too. And I think a lot of disciplines are a lot of there's a lot of, like qigong and loads of things like this. People have very intense journeys. I know someone that's really learning about their spiritual existence, or their spirituality, their self-realization. They're learning it through their study of plants as well, and seeing how it works in nature and relating their life journey to that. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways. I call them gifts from God, and I think astrology is one of them, which is just to help us, give us clues as to who we are. And because we're so unique, remember, although we're all one, we come from source, and we can feel that unity, can't we? But when you get to a certain level, there's no competition in anything. It's just like we all do things differently. Like where I am, we've got loads of holistic therapists and loads of reflexologists, loads of massage therapists, there's loads of tarot card readers, but everybody's different with the way they do it, so whatever you're offering to the world, there is no competition, because no one's going to be doing it like you do it. Okay, and when we all know that, that's beautiful, not to have that competition, and just to have that love and embracing and that feeling of unity, because we're all going to be doing what we're doing with our own uniqueness. So we're all coming from the same place. We're all source. We have all of those divine qualities of love and compassion and everything else. But we actually express ourselves so differently, depending on our unique birth chart, our unique soul profile, our unique whatever bit you're looking at, our unique desires, our unique inspirations. Why am I inspired to do this and someone else is inspired to do that? Our unique passions that run through our hearts. That just makes us all so unique. So this card is telling me that it's about looking for your uniqueness, and that's the contribution, because that's going to come from a place of passion, and that's your contribution to the collective, is finding your uniqueness, finding your passion, expressing who you really are, appreciating that you're different, you're not like anybody else, just so unique, even though we are all in that unity feeling together. I just think it's wonderful. I mean, it would be boring if we were all the same, and I just think it's an absolute delight that we're all so different. When you get to that level of just not comparing yourself with other people, and just realizing that there is no lack, so you're not going to think like, oh, we both do the same thing, we're in competition for each other. I mean, no, how can you both be doing the same thing? You have your own experiences, and you're going to be putting that into whatever it is you do, and you're going to have your own inspirations. So there's a million ways that you can massage, for example. I'm just using that as an example. But there are a million ways that you can do that, and you'll be doing whatever it is that you do in a really unique way. So we can really embrace other people in our field. It makes us stronger, and we can recommend each other and do swapsies and share and all of that lovely community spirit kind of thing. So I got all of that from that card. So this is definitely about self-study. It's one of the yoga niyamas, actually, swadhyaya. It's one of the niyamas about understanding who you are, self-study, finding out who you really are and how you can experience and express yourself. So yeah, it comes into many different modalities and many different ways you can find out who you really are. The easiest way is by listening to your heart, of course, because your heart will tell you quite clearly what it is that you want to do, who it is that you want to spend time with, what it is that you want to listen to, what it is that you want to share, and how you want to share, and how you want to spend your time, and how you want to spend your energy and your resources and your money and everything else. So yes, I hope that all makes sense. So we're looking after ourselves. We are going to listen to what we say to others, because there's a message for us there, because everyone is a reflection of a part of us. So it's priceless if you listen carefully to what's coming in. choose wisely how we spend our time, money, resources, and energy. Okay, and let's find out more about who we are, what makes us tick, where we've come from, whether that be our galactic family or what have you, how we grow, how we raise our frequency, and yeah, that we are divine love and light. Let's anchor that one into the cells of our body, that we are divine love and light, with no judgments, accepting everything and loving what is, forgiving, and all those lovely spiritual lessons that we're integrating into our bodies, into our physical form. So hope that helps. Well done for making it to the end of the video. If you've liked what you've seen, then please share, subscribe, and what's the other one? Like, share, subscribe. That's it. Yes, those YouTubey words. I remembered them. So lots of love to you all. Have a fantastic week. Maybe see you later on in the day for our Ask Us a Question with Liz Nagle. If not, I will see you next week. Lots of love to all of you. Have a good week. Bye for now.